When you arrive at the farm, the milker will dip their boots in our bleach water solution so as not to contaminate the holding pen. The cows are gentle. Go into the milking parlor and lay down the mat. Each cow has its own ration. You'll put the ration down and unlock the sliding door and make sure that the head gate is latched. When you let your first cow in, you call her name. She'll come up the ramp and into the stanchion. This is a 2-year-old first calf freshener. She's a Dexter Jersey cross. Her name is Lucy. Put the butt board behind her. Your cart with your milk bucket will be out into the milking parlor. You can lock her into the stanchion. And with our first calf heifers, we always tie the foot back that's closest to the milker. You just tie it, put a soft rope with a loop on it around the hind leg. Run the rope around the second post and ask the cow to pull her foot back a little bit. You're going to want to get all the slack out of the rope. Once that's tied, you'll go to washing the udder with your wash rags in a teat dip solution or a pre-dip solution. You can tie the tail up if the cows are swishing them. After you do your initial wash to get all any loose dirt and hair off, you're going to take an alcohol wipe and clean the orifice and the teat. You'll do this with all 4 teats with a clean alcohol wipe with each one, and then you'll finish with washing your own hand with an alcohol wipe before you do your strip. This is a strip cup. You'll strip 5 squirts into the cup. When you put your machine on the cow, you want to make sure that each quarter is milking in. That's why we use these clear inflations. When you're done milking the cow, you will use the teat dip cup and dip each teat. Each cow has their own teat dip cup. Remember to remove the rope. And you'll coil the rope back up and leave it hanging high on the stanchion. These first calf heifers we want to spend a lot of time with. We want to gently work with them. Open the outside slider, open the head gate, and if she won't move, just gently pull on her tail and encourage her to move on out. This is an older Jersey cow. We are able to use these older swinging udder cows because of the stanchion that we've built. Each cow gets its own ration with kelp and trace mineral in it. Now these udders were at eye level with them, so we can get a real good look at these udders and the feet of the cows and make sure everything's real clean. Again, we'll start with wash rag with a pre-dip solution and wash the outside of the udder. Then you're going to go to each individual quarter and wash each teat individually. Get a new rag and go on to the next teat. So you're going to use a clean rag with each teat and carefully examine them. You can turn it over and use the clean side for the next teat. And again, you're going to use your alcohol wipe to clean each orifice. After you've stripped the cow out, we're going to put on booties on this cow so that she doesn't, if she steps forward or kicks forward, because the inflations are so low, we want to make sure that dirt from and manure from the holding pin does not get up into our inflations. So now she's going to tilt the teat to check the orifice and clean it. And again, you're going to check the orifice, use a new wipe, and clean it. You may use the reverse side on the wipe if you like, as long as it's clean. Again, tilt the teat and make sure that gets absolutely spotless. Here she's putting on the booty. Booties are just large rags, and you do an overhand knot behind the leg, and the far leg you're going to do the same thing, putting the booty on up the leg. And then we're going to take a towel, and the towel is going to be laid on the stanchion to make a nice clean spot on the stanchion, and it will be behind the udder, so that if one inflation does fall off, it will fall onto the clean towel and not onto the stanchion. Again, clean your hands before handling the inflations. Turn the claw upside down. Hold on to all the inflations, and with the machine on, you're going to place your teat cups or inflations on the longest teat first and around all 4 quarters, firmly resting it onto each teat. We use machine stripping on our cows, which just means when the cows are near the end of their cycle, you gently pull down to get the inflation, pulling in the rest of the cream and stripping out all the rest of the milk. You should never leave the inflations on longer than 6 to 8 minutes. The cows are let out and the mat is hung back up again. The milk is brought into the milk room between each cow. The milk is labeled with the milker's name, the date, and the cow's name. We do have an A2 cow. We have 2 A2 cows, and some people can only drink the A2 milk, so we want to make sure that they get that cow's milk only. The jars are sterilized with 160-degree water. The milk is poured into the sterile jars using a funnel. The sterile lids are placed on the jars immediately after pouring each jar. And the jars are placed in the ice water. So each jar is poured and placed in the ice water until the bucket is empty. And then the bucket is put back together again, ready for the next cow. At the end of the milking, after you milk the last cow out, the bucket is rinsed out with warm water. The filter is removed. The inline filter is removed and inspected for any clots or dirty evidence of any dirt getting through into the line. We use a stainless steel bucket to measure the amount of water going through the system so that we don't overflow our milk bucket and get it up into the pulsator. We use about 2 tablespoons of distilled white vinegar. The inflations are rinsed with a hard rinse first and then placed into the vinegar water. The machine is put back together and turned on, and we do our second rinse. After the second rinse, we're going to do our hot water wash. This is using 160-degree water. You need to be very careful using this, and an organic dish soap. Use just a few drops of the organic dish soap, about a half a teaspoon. Put the machine back together again and run the 3 gallons of hot water into the machine. Run the hot soapy water through the machine, touching everywhere the milk was. Now we have special brushes that are used for each part of the washing. This is the inflation brush, and as the claw has been taken apart, the inflation's taken off the claw, and each inflation is individually brushed out with the inflation brush, going all the way through and twisting it to clean. Dip the brush between each inflation, and don't forget to use the tip of the inflation brush to go through the stainless steel claw where the milk has been. These brushes are then rinsed off in cool water and placed into the stainless steel bucket. This is the short hose brush. Make sure you get all parts of the hose, including the the filter end. This is the filter brush. Filter brush goes into the inline filter. Don't push it down in too far, just far enough to completely clean all parts of the filter. We do use clean milk rags. These rags have never been used on the cows. They're kept clean and sterile and used only on the milk and equipment. Use it on the inside of the bell, on the gasket. Make sure you get into the hose behind the pressure release valve. Take your gasket off, make sure the gasket gets into your hot water. Use your rag to clean the gasket under the pulsator and all parts of the lid. Each rag, once it's been used, is set aside to be taken home and washed separately from the booties and the milk cow rags. Be very careful and use the long-handled brush to get these rags out of your water. And then use your rags on the outside hoses. After you've given them the good hard wash first with the white hose, you're going to use them on the outside of the hoses to make sure everything is clean and spotless. Again, set the rag aside as soon as you've used it. And get another clean rag for the outside of the bucket, the outside of the lid. We have a short handled brush for washing the outside of the bucket. And then you'll use a wash rag. And finally a dry rag so that we don't leave any spots on the bucket. We do have step stools in the milk room for people who need them to be able to reach our hangers. You wash the inside of the bucket with the long-handled brush. Dump your water out, making sure that you turn the bucket as you dump the water out so that 160-degree temperature water gets throughout the entire system. If you've got the bucket very soapy, you want to use a little bit of cool water now to rinse all the soap out. Use about 2 tablespoons of bleach in cool water. Fill the 3-gallon bucket up again. And this time we're using cool water with our bleach. All the brushes now have been bleached and they will be hung up to dry. Put your machine back together again, putting all the inflations on and the bell back on. Remember, you start the bell at the 7 o'clock position and twist it up to the noon position to set it. Each inflation goes on so that none of the black air hoses are twisted or cross over each other. The lid goes back onto the bucket and the inflations are placed in the bleach water. Machine turned on for our final rinse. Once you've run your bleach water through, now you're going to take your gaskets, Put them in the clean basket with a clean rag and a towel to cover it, and that gets put into the cabinet. The dry towel is now used on the bucket so that there are no water spots left. The 3-gallon stainless steel bucket is emptied out, and the stainless steel milk bucket is placed upside down in the bucket. It does not touch the bottom, it just gives it a chance to drain and dry. All the hoses are drained completely and then hung up to drip dry. The stainless steel sink is wiped down with our nylon brush, scour brush, and then dried again with another dry towel. Try to keep everything looking clean and spotless and being clean and spotless. We do use a Clorox solution on the sink as we finish. This is a family affair. We love to have the kids out on the farm. Parents, you are responsible for your children. Make sure that they have safe footing. We take and feed bottle calves. The children are used to feed the bottle calves, the baby goats, and to collect the eggs around the farm of our free-roaming chickens. It's a good experience for your children to be at and work on a farm. We do have one goat that we milk, a Sonnen. She's milked last on a stanchion. You bring her in and tie her in the stanchion. And you clean her the same way that you do the cows, using the rags and the alcohol wipes, and expressing the first few squirts out either into a rag or into the strip cup. Now we milk into a half-gallon jar using a paper filter that we place on top of the jar, and then we make a funnel, fold the funnel over the top of the lid and push the band down. You do need to leave a little air space so that the air can get out as you fill it with milk. And we milk directly into this. We do milk our goats by hand. And it's easy once you get the hang of it. When you first come to the milk room, you're going to run 160-degree water through the entire milking machine that you've put together, sterilizing everything. Once you've dumped your water, all the water out of the lines, all the water out of the milk bucket, you will put a clean, dry filter in. You're not going to run your sterilizing water with a filter in it. You'll put a dry filter in, put your machine together, and your machine is now ready for the milker. Don't forget to make a wash water solution with 2 capfuls of tea tip. We do test all of our cows. All of our milkers get tested to make sure that they're doing a good job. The final milk that you get out of your bottle will go into a sterile container, you're going to put your name, the date, and place it in the refrigerator. And then either Maritza or myself will come out and test your milk. It will go onto a coliform plate or an aerobic plate and be put into our little incubator. We also test using Sierra Dairy Labs, but these tests are just a on-the-farm test to make sure that everybody's milk is staying clean, the equipment staying clean. At 24 hours and 48 hours, we check the results on the test. We hope you've enjoyed your trip to the farm, and we welcome you to come out, bring your family, and we'll see you all later. Bye now.